calligraphy, illuminated manuscripts, and she also paints. And she is exhibited nationally and internationally. So go ahead, Judith.
Thank you so much, Gloria. And I just want to thank the North Shore affiliates of the MCA and the committee who worked so hard to pull this together, and especially Ann Rosen for inviting me to present today. Okay, I'm going to begin with a piece which is actually not any of the things that Gloria mentioned. I do some installation pieces as well. And this piece is called Marie Antoinette Visits the Border. And I bought a mannequin and a wig, but the gown was made by me from a pattern. And I followed really historic paintings of Marie Antoinette because I wanted this to be accurate. So at first you see it's a pretty dress, you know, it's very attractive and appealing, but it's constructed from shock blankets, such as the type that are given to refugees. You see some Syrian refugees on the left who just washed up on the shore in Greece, and also the children at the borders in cages were given these shock blankets, and they're plastic, so they're not exactly warm and fuzzy. And you see this pretty dress, it's very shiny, and there's a print pattern on it, but as you get closer, you see that the little prints are actually kind of decals of refugee parents holding their babies. So this is just to show you the process that I used. There are photos all over the internet that I used for these exhausted parents and little babies. And I took the photo, I rendered it in black and white, and then I mirrored it to make sort of a graphic element in the design. And what I found was after this piece was exhibited at the Oakton Community College Cone Line Museum of Art, in the Women's and Gender Study Department, they had a show about fashion, which inspired me. I found on the internet a lot of photos of people like to have their photo taken with it because it's kind of cute. But a big part of my aesthetic is to make something that's very beautiful and very attractive and very appealing. And so it pulls you in, and then hopefully you stick around long enough to realize that there's a deeper level of symbolism and of meaning, and sometimes darker than what at first presents. So that is sort of an essential idea that I deal with. So this is a woodblock print that I made this summer. It's most of my woodblock prints are this size. They're 20 inches by 16 inches. And this is called La Corona. I think you can figure out what it's about. It really came from a place of deep emotion. Now, some of my woodblock prints are huge. I do what's called steamroller prints, and this one is 5 feet by 3 feet. And I'm going to talk a little about my process in a moment. But for me, the skeleton is not really a spooky or negative image. It is, of course, a memento mori. I'm contemplating mortality, but I see the skeleton as this beautiful architecture, this beautiful infrastructure that we carry around within us and that carries us. And this piece is about the idea that we are tied to life. We creative people are tied to life by the creative work that we do. And this was really an homage to craft. And my mother, really, who is a crafter and knitted all her life, and she's still making needlepoints. And I thought about something that ties her to me, which is that we both make things. So in the center of the figure is a tree of life, and there is a pocket watch hanging, and also an apple at the very top, which is a symbol of intelligence and wisdom. This is another one of the steamroller prints. It's 5 feet by 3 feet, and it was actually the first woodcut that I ever made. The color was applied afterwards by hand with acrylic paint, and it's called Ghost Scroll, and it is a reference to the Torah scroll and the idea that the letters are missing and that we have to fill in the meaning and the truth, and we are the letters in a sense. So just to show you a little bit about my process, this is one of these big boards in my studio where I'm sitting right now, just to show you the scale. It's really big. It's hard for me even just to get around it. And on the left are my tools that I used to cut the wood. This is the print as it looked before I colored it. And if you look at the upper left, some of the cutting is really awkward in the first section. I literally learned on this piece. But when I work, I just chalk in the drawing very generally, and I really draw with the tools. And working this, I fell in love with the wood carving process and the whole thing. So I'm totally hooked on this. So this is how we print, steamroller print. And this is my friend Ruti, who's actually, she's in the picture at the right, and she's actually in the audience today. So shout out to you, Ruti. So it took me a full hour to ink this up. We went to a steamroller printing event at the University of Wisconsin in Manitowoc. They set up tents outdoors, and the first roll took me an hour just to ink it up. Then we place it in a template on the parking lot. You can see the little steamroller in the background. And an art professor got on the steamroller, and after we placed the inked up block on the ground, we placed a huge piece of paper over it, and then carpet padding. And then Professor Katie Rees drove the steamroller over the piece to make a print. And this is what it looks like fresh off the press. And I'm smiling because I'm in my happy place. This is a really fun thing. And they do this event every 2 years, and I've participated each time. This year, of course, it was postponed, unfortunately. So normally I print smaller. This is the printmaking studio at the Art Center Highland Park, which is a superb installation and is just a gorgeous press. And I'm smiling again because I got a good print. For woodcuts, these are pretty large, and it's very challenging technically to get a perfect roll. So I do have a certain amount that end up in my scrap heap, but I do small editions of about 6 to 7 prints. Now, just to share with you some more of my pieces, this one is called No Mud, No Lotus. And the concept arose from a chat that I had with an artist in the printmaking studio who was a very spiritual person. And the lotus, of course, is a symbol of spiritual perfection, but it grows from mud. So the idea is that we have to start in the mud to aspire to the heights. And I love that idea. So that's what spurred me. This piece is called Hope Nest, and it was done right after the 2016 election. I love nature and I love birds especially, and I feel that birds are sort of a stand-in for myself. They're sort of self-portraits when you see that I use a bird. And I envy birds because they can fly and I can't. But this one is really just a portrait of my anxiety at the time and sort of trying to guard my nest. And I'll let you figure it out. Soul accounting is, again, it's sort of a spiritual self-portrait. You see within the owl, and owls are my favorite, by the way, these nested images, and they're like those Russian dolls, those Matryoshka dolls. And I was thinking about the approach of Yom Kippur, which is a Jewish holiday, not really a holiday, it's a day when we consider our pluses and minuses, the things we do right and the things we have to improve. So we sort of tally up in our minds and our souls what's going well and what's not. And so I put the tally marks, and inside this owl, you see some of the figures are glowing and some of them are cracked. So that's sort of really how I feel about myself. And this is another owl. It's about being a mother. I have 3 adult sons. And although I have let them fly and they are very independent, successful adults, I feel that I carry them forever in my heart. So this is from a series that I did on the golem, which is really the prototype for the Frankenstein story. It's a man made of mud. This was also actually done around shortly after the 2016 election. It's a contemplation on power without intellect and without a heart. And I'll leave that to you to figure out. I don't want to get too political here. But you can see there's Hebrew text on it, and there's a lot of influence of Hebrew because I am a Hebrew calligrapher, and I'll get to that work a little later. But the text says, "How great are thy deeds, O Lord, you have wrought them." And what's the word that is missing is in wisdom. So it's questioning the works of ourselves and the universe. Now I can share with you my ketubah. The ketubah is the Hebrew marriage contract. Years ago, people didn't have civil weddings; they only had religious ones. And in the Jewish tradition, they were decorated and illustrated. So I got into this when I was 17 years old. And I attended art school and I started making Ketubah, that's the plural of Ketubah, professionally. And I've made over 500 custom pieces and many, many prints. You can see these on my website. You just Google my name, Judith Joseph, and you'll see. And so here's another one. This one actually has no Hebrew on it. It was not for a Jewish couple, but it was for a couple who admired the tradition and wanted to have something done. So the text is the Apache wedding ceremony. And it's a very, very poetic and beautiful text. And it portrays images from their fishing and camping trips to Canada. Oh, I'm over. I'm going to just flip through these really quick. So these are other Ketubah, and I leave you with a very sunny image and hoping for better days for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Judy.